Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez.
I'm Hilary Rodriguez.
And today we're going to be counting down our top 5 spooky games. Halloween is right around the corner. You can keep playing these games even when it's not Halloween anymore. That's fine. I know I like to. But it's a perfect time to be playing some of these creepy games. Yep. So we can only go off of the ones that we have in our collection. There's a lot of them out there, but hopefully we have at least some differences in our list. How'd you go about ranking these for yourself?
So I first looked at the list and kind of, for the most part, picked my top 5 games that I would want to play. And then I kind of went in the order that I think of them as being spooky or suspenseful. There might be a game or two that I left off the list because I thought it was too similar to something else on my list. But for the most part, that's how I built my list.
Right on. Yeah, I just looked at the whole list and tried to figure out which ones gave me the most, sense of dread or tension, that sort of thing. Which one gave me those, spooky feels you might feel after watching a scary movie. Although, I don't know if too many games can really, board games, can truly, be scary.
Yeah.
No, that's tough, but...
there's definitely some suspense while you're playing the games, but, you're not gonna have, really a jump scare while you're playing a game.
Yeah, it'd be great if game makers could figure that out. You didn't know the board could just open up and have something pop out of it at you, but it does. That'd be great. I think that secret would get blown pretty fast. So, but anyway, regardless of that nonsense, let's get to our top 5 games. So what is your number 5?
My number 5 is going to be The Hunger. I think we did I know we did a review on this. I think we did a review on most of the games that are on my list. But for me, I put The Hunger on here because it's a game where you're playing as vampires and you're going into the city to feed, and there's different villagers that are kind of there to try and stop you or slow you down, and it's kind of a push your luck game where you're trying to get out as far as you can and then come back and get as many points and try and get back to the castle before sunrise. The reason why it's kind of low on my list as far as the spooky value goes is that, it's not that, the countdown when it's getting close to sunrise, it can get a little suspenseful, but in general, I don't find it a very, it's a fun game, but I don't find it very suspenseful. And then also the artwork is kind of, not really cutesy, but it's kind of cartoon mixed with Tim Burton style, and so it's one of those things where it kind of reminds me a little bit of Nightmare Before Christmas meets vampires. So it's a fun game. It definitely fits with the theme, but I don't find it extremely spooky.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, part of it is you're the undead thing in those, but it is kind of scary when you're trying to get back to the castle time before the sun rises. Yeah. If you're cutting it close, oh boy, there could be a little tension there, but it is kind of a different thing. Before I get to my number 5, I want to give a honorable mention, a game that I couldn't quite put on this list, to Woodcraft. Woodcraft, because that creepy-eyed elf or whatever on the cover, those eyes haunt my dreams. I wake up in a cold sweat, crying.
It doesn't help that I put the board so that it came out so he's staring at him at night.
You're sadistic. It's pure nightmare fuel. If this is a game based on the top 5 creepy boxes, it would be number 1 for sure. But the game itself, not at all. It's actually sort of adorable in a way. Yeah. So I couldn't put it on this list, but if you want a cheap scare, you could just go look up the cover and zoom. It's really, you have to zoom in and look at her face. I need to take a break. No, okay, I'll be fine. Okay. My actual number 5, though, not Woodcraft, is Alien: Fate of the Nostromo. This cooperative game based on the movie Alien that came out. I think it came out around the year I was born, so it's been out. It's been out a little bit. But that game is full of crazy tension with this alien that can pop out at you from nowhere and kill you. And that is sort of what the game is. There's these vents I think they're vents, you look in and there might be nothing. Or it could be an alien, which is really, really bad. Or it could be the cat, which is still bad because cats and, who wants to suddenly see it? I like cats, they're fine. We have a cat. We have 2 cats that I really like. But yeah, it's one of those things, the false jump scare that horror movies like to do. Yeah. So it makes sense. you might have to get all the way from this end of the ship to the other, but that alien is around in there, and you have to try to like divert it or somehow get past it. Good amount of tension there. It's a good game, and I think it captures the creepy, sci-fi feel of the movie really well.
Yeah. So my number 4 is going to be Crimes in History, H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle. If you're familiar with the true crime it's based off of, it's a very disturbing storyline and extremely spooky and scary. And I feel like this game does a good job of incorporating that. You're running around playing as associates of H.H. Holmes, but you're trying to gather evidence to prove to the cops that he is the murderer, not yourself. But he's also running around the hotel too, so you have to be kind of careful about running into him. And if you do run into him, like, he doesn't really kill you, but he might mess with he can mess with you in different ways. So it is also a game where it's like kind of like a living board game where you're placing out tiles. So each time you play it, the layout of the castle is gonna be different each time, which also fits into the theme because he would constantly change out construction workers, and like nobody really had blueprints, and so nobody really knew what was actually going on during the construction of the building.
Yeah, man, that story is nuts. If you have any interest in true crime at all, if you haven't heard of H.H. Holmes, look up that guy. It's insane. It doesn't seem like it could be a real story. It's so crazy, but yeah, I think the game does a good job capturing it without going overboard into being like super grisly or anything.
Yeah.
Like, it does it really well. It's a good one for sure. My number 4 is Cthulhu Death May Die. This is another cooperative game where you are investigators, sort of, who've already gone maybe a little crazy, investigating usually a big mansion where bad stuff's going down. There's cultists and Cthulhu mythos creatures, and usually that's the kind of specific thing you're trying to accomplish. But it's a little more, I almost didn't put it on there because it's a little more butt-kicky than some other games of like the Cthulhu mythos variety, but it still kind of fits in there for me because, as I said, you start off kind of crazy and you're losing your sanity as you go, which is pretty typical of a Cthulhu Mythos game. But, as you lose your sanity, you're getting more powerful. So you're able to do more things. But as you do more things, you go crazier. And you can eventually go too crazy to finish the game because you completely, I don't know if you're just like a laughing, giggling mess on the floor or what. But, yeah, you have to kind of manage that and still get your stuff done, and the constant tension of that, because it's always there. Like, you don't really ever get a break, I don't feel like, in that game. So, just, really fun, constant tension, and you just don't know if you're going to pull it out in the end or not because of how you're just going crazier and crazier, and it's a blast. You have some fight in that game, but you're almost fighting yourself too. So it makes it really interesting.
My number 3 is Horrified. I went with the classic Horrified game, not the cryptid one or the new Greek mythology one. But I went with a classic one because it has the classic Hollywood horror monsters in it. And so, like, as far as theme and Halloween, I think you almost can't get more classic than that one. Yeah. And it has some good tension in it because the monsters are kind of chasing you around the town while you're trying to get rid of them. And there's the town people that you have to save as well. And so there is a lot of like kind of tension in the game while you're playing it too. Yeah, for sure. That is a good one. It's fun to try to get the it's just fun. It's kind of tough because you're trying to get other things done, but get like the citizens to wherever they're trying to get safely. And I agree. I think the first one has much more of the creepier vibe. I mean, especially for Halloween. Yeah. People show up on your door just as Dracula. No one shows up as the Chupacabra because you wouldn't know. I don't. Yeah. You'd be like, what are you? Like some kind of rabid chihuahua? I don't know. But yeah, it's a great series. The new Greek Monsters one's out. I definitely want to get that because I mean, I don't know if that'll be very spooky, but that'll be awesome, so it's fine. Okay, my number 3 is Arkham Horror, the board game, 3rd edition. Are all my games co-ops? Kind of, yeah, sort of. So I guess I can stop saying that, except for, the last one, But anyway, it's a cooperative game, and what I like about this game is when you start it, you don't know what you have to do to win. I mean, you could say, well, you have to stop the bad guys, but you don't know what's involved in that, because you'll start figuring things out, and then it'll get to the point, and usually something will like shift, and now like
everything's altered, so now you have to get this
Mhm.
stuff done. And you don't know really how many times it's going to shift or what the eventual end goal is going to be. And while that probably does frustrate some people, I like it because I really feel like I'm investigating this thing where these unknowable beings are doing stuff, and you just don't know how it's going to go down. And there's a lot of tension because you can't just go and fight all these beasts. I mean, sometimes you can do okay, but you got to be really careful. You know, your resources are all pretty limited. And it's tough, but you also meet like townspeople, and you have little events that happen, and newspapers are coming out describing what's going on, and sometimes they're kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I was a cop one time, and they were down on the police, and I was very mad because I was trying, man. I was trying. The world did end, so I guess ultimately it's fair. But you know, I think it can be frustrating because it is a long game, and you could technically end. It can end for you before you get even very far in it. But I think if you go in knowing that this is going to be kind of experience, you're up against this, you know, thing that's supposed to be almost impossible to deal with, and you just go in accepting that and just seeing what you can do. It feels awesome when you get it done. Of course, even when you just almost make it, you're like, oh god, so close, and you kind of want to try again if you have another 4 or 5 hours to spare.
No, it's a great game. It is a long game, and it's a hard game. It's not on my list just because it's similar to my number 1 and 2, so I decided to leave that one off. But it is a great game, and it's a lot of fun. There's definitely tension. The tension kind of ratchets up as you're going, and it's another one of those things where like the monsters are kind of coming after you as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So my number 2 and your number 2 are actually the same.
Oh.
I kind of glanced at
your Candyland too?
Yes.
No. It would be kind of creepy though if you were stuck there. Can you imagine? Just everything candy. You get real sticky.
I mean, it fits with the theme of Halloween.
It kind of does. Yeah. Maybe it's fine. I don't know.
No.
Anyway.
Anyways, so the number 2 is that for both of us is actually going to be Mansions of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I put it as my number 2 because I really enjoy the game a lot, and the reason why I kind of like it over Arkham Horror is that it has a really integrative app that I think just adds to that kind of spookiness and kind of immerses you into the storyline more. It also has a whole bunch of different scenarios. You know, the Arkham Horror, like, it has different, like, the way the game plays, it'll play out differently when you play it. But with Mansions of Madness, there's completely different scenarios. So it's like, it feels very different. Like, one time you might be in a mansion, another time you might be on a train, another time you are investigating a whole town. So there's all sorts of different things that can happen, but then it does have that ranch up of you're trying to stop this big bad thing from happening as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, you know, Arkham Horror is kind of zoomed out. You look at the whole city, but the city is always pretty much the same configuration. Well, it can be different in that one actually, but still. With Mansion Madness, yeah, you get a different layout of the mansion every time, and like you don't know when you open that next door if it's going to be like a person you can talk to, or like some items that'll be helpful, or if it's going to be some terrible creature that's not going to pursue you around the whole place until you can deal with it or escape.
Or a fire that you have to try and put out.
Yeah, your whole mansion can catch on fire. Oh god, that's bad. But yeah, it's really an amazing game. I know some people don't like apps in their games, but I'm telling you, like, I'm glad that I think that's the first
it was
game with an app that I played, because that sold me on that being a totally okay thing, because it's amazing what the game does. It's really incredible, and you really feel like you're immersed in a story, and you get personally wrapped up in what your character's doing.
Yeah.
And if they actually get like an actual insanity, those could actually be sort of fun to play out. You know, if you're a kleptomaniac, you're taking everyone else's items or whatever. Great
I just
stuff.
like, and I know it's random, but like, I love how often we have something that happens that fits within the storyline or the characters that we happen to pick. You know, there was a time where like the priest was the one to discover the holy water.
Right.
There was a grandma that was exploring the knickknack, you know, in the curio instead of fighting the monster.
The monster was right behind her. she decided to evade so she could like dig around and be like, oh, I wonder if there's any collector spoons in here. Right.
You know, like I was an orphan that became a klepto, and like you know, like there was just like there was stuff, or I was paranoid or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
there was something that fit for the being the orphan. And just like, and I know that it is random, but like how often we are playing the game and something happens that fits with our character, it's very amusing to me. So
yeah, no, it's fantastic. I was looking at the list of our spooky games we play, and I was like, I really gotta play this again sometime because it's so good. Even if we played a mission we'd already played, it's not necessarily gonna play out the same way. So
well, and the other thing that I really love about that game is with it having the app is that you can save.
Yeah,
so like for us, like like we can't always sit down and play a 2-3 hour game. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, let's play an hour tonight, and then we'll save it, and then we can play another hour tomorrow night or whatever. And so it makes it easier for us to play these bigger campaigns.
Yeah, because it's dangerous for us to leave a game just sitting on the table, because our littlest kid or one of our cats will come and do terrible things. Yeah.
There's been a lot of disasters lately.
They're having a lot lately. So, could our child be like the Omen child? Nah, probably not. That's what I find. Okay. Should we turn number ones?
Yep.
Okay.
So my number one was actually already on your list.
Oh.
And that's going to be the Cthulhu Death May Die game. The reason why it's so high up on my list is that I feel like this is a game that has tension right from the get-go. Things are already kind of chaotic as soon as you get into the game. It gets worse as you're playing. And then on top of that, like, it has some really awesome models, but like it actually kind of adds to that tension, because instead of this little standee of like here's your person and here's Cthulhu that's like maybe just a little bit bigger standee than your character, like you have your model and then you have Cthulhu, and so like you can really feel that tension of like there's this really big creature in front of me.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the games, like, I was, like, trapped in a closet with, like, 7 monsters. And, like...
Yeah, literally could not fit them on the board. But there's no, they can go in there. So, I don't know, you survived. They must have, like, it was so tight. They probably didn't even know you were in there. They're like, oh, that's probably just my friend Ted, the Shaggoth, pushing against me. And I don't know. But, yeah, crazy stuff happens in this game.
Yeah.
But it's a blast. And, you're talking about how you like the your guy and then the Cthulhu. It's possible it'll be like, here's our guy and here's the Cthulhu. That might happen sometime. Anyway, down the road. We'll see. Anyway, but yeah, great game. Fantastic. My number one is Dead of Winter. This is the one that's kind of a co-op. So the zombie apocalypse has happened. They're out there roaming around. You and your companions are holed up in a little like bunker or a little building or something, and you're just trying to survive because it's a really harsh winter and you have to go out and get supplies, and people might come and need your help, and you have to decide whether to help them or not. And if you do, that's great. They can help, but you also have to feed them now, and that's bad, and everyone has to like contribute to the food. But the problem is someone in your group might not be on your side. They might be a serial killer or an arsonist or something.
Mad scientist.
A mad scientist. Something where they are not... They're not necessarily on the zombie side, but they're definitely not on everyone else's side. And everyone has their own secret goals. So someone might look like they're doing something really suspicious, even though they really are trying to be helpful overall. They're doing this weird thing, like, why are you hoarding all the gasoline? That's weird, But there could be a good reason for that. But you don't know what it is. So, like, you really don't like the trader mechanic, which I understand. We have a lot of trader mechanic... I don't know, we have a lot. We have some trader mechanic games. This is the only one I think that has, like, a real... true horror theme to it, which is why it fits in here. But to me, like, that's what makes this really feel like a scary movie to me. It's like there's a lot of zombie games that can just feel like, I'm just gonna hack through some zombies. This one isn't that. I mean, you have to deal with them sometimes, and they're very dangerous. And even just going and getting supplies, even if you don't run into zombies, is dangerous because it's so cold. You can get frostbite that can kill you. You just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if or when that knife is going to come into your back. Or maybe you are the traitor. You don't know when they're going to figure you out. Or, if you can, like, maybe shift people's focus onto somebody else. There's just so much tension through the entire game because I don't know. Even if you play this fully co-op, I don't know if you'd ever feel like we have everything under control and we're on top of it.
Yeah.
Because it's meant to be hard. I mean, it just is. And when someone around you might be actually not on your side, oh my god, it's so, like, you want to find out who that is, because
Yeah.
if you can get rid of them, you have a much better chance. It's so much tension. I think some people probably don't like that kind of, but to capture like a horror feel, it's so it's
Yeah,
perfect to me.
for the theme, it's a really great game. If you like a trigger mechanic, it's a really great game. I'm not a huge fan. I don't really like the trigger mechanic. Like, you know, there's a couple games out there that like I can kind of look past it, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this game because it is a hard co-op game. And so like you have this really hard co-op game, and then on top of that you might have someone sabotaging you as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, I feel weird about saying it because I ended up being the traitor, but
Yeah.
like we got to the point where it was the very last turn, the very last move, and then I sabotaged it.
And I never suspected you. There are other people at the table I suspected. I was like, something's fishy with this. You never, not once. Oh my god, it was so brilliant.
I was super tired that night, and I think that's
probably why.
Why I was able to play it so well.
You couldn't look suspicious. You were too groggy to do it. But anyway, yeah, it is definitely a hard game, and you got to know that going in. Your chances, if you are not the traitor, of winning are not high, but it really captures the feel that it's trying to capture extremely well.
Yeah.
So I love it for that. So those are our top 5 spooky horror games. Definitely let us know some of yours in the comment and why you like them in the comment. Definitely let us know some of yours in the comments. We'd love to hear about that kind of thing. But before we get off of here, I thought it'd be fun to talk about, there's so many different spooky like horror movies or shows or books or urban legends or true crime, etc., out there. And I thought it'd be fun for each of us to kind of talk about one of those things that we'd like to see a game made of. So what did you come up with?
So the first thing that came to mind is a TV show that was on for a very long time. It's still very popular, even though it's not on the air anymore. I did look up, there are a couple games out there, like, there's a card game, and then, of course, there's all sorts of trivia games and Monopolies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And there is a zombie-side version of it, and it's Supernatural. But, like, I feel like the card game that's out there, like, it has a really low rating. It's like a 4.9 on Board Game Geek. And there's just so much to work with in that show, partially because it was on for so long. But, you know, there's so much to work from that I think there's a really good potential for there to be a really good game based off of that. You know, you can definitely be playing as the Winchesters, going around hunting all these different monsters. You could even go into the later seasons where, you know, like you're trying to stop the end of the world from happening instead of just the monster of the week type of thing. You know, you could either have like different characters like Castiel and Crawley being playable characters, or just different support characters, because especially Crawley, like he's kind of on your side, but he's kind of not on your side. So like he could be like a good like mechanic in the game where it's like you don't really know if he's helping you or hindering you, like, you know, almost like a traitor mechanic, type of thing. So I think there's a lot of potential in that. We kind of briefly talked about American Horror Story, because I do like that. Like, in general, I don't actually like horror movies, so for me to try and think of like something in this field is a little bit harder. But I do like Supernatural. I do like American Horror Story. I think that one would be harder to do as a board game though, because it would be interesting because they tend to do a good combination of true crimes and urban legends and blending them together. But it could also be hard because each season's different. Each season has different characters. So like to have it feel like one of the shows, I think could be hard. To have it feel like the show, I think could be hard.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done one with Supernatural yet. I think they still could. You know, I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't. I think it's got enough of a following. I mean, they still like Firefly games, so they could do Supernatural. So I had 2 thoughts. The first one that came to my head was something about Lady Bathory, who is an actual character from history who bathed in blood and was... Anyway, I'm not going to go any further. It's very dark. So I'm not really sure how you can make a game out of this exactly. Someone could probably do it, but I was like, I don't really want to think about how you would play this exactly right now, so I kind of let it go to the side, but interesting character and history. Character, you know what I mean? Person. But dark. So dark. So, but other than that, I think I'd like to see one based on The Ring. The Ring was a movie. It first came out in Japan. I didn't see the Japanese version. I saw the one in the US. But the basic gist is that there is this videotape, and if you're under 30, call your parents and ask what a videotape is. And it has this like short, kind of creepy black and white video that has all these like quick cuts of all these like kind of weird scenes. And there's this girl that climbs out of the well. She's got, you know, the typical like Japanese ghost girl at this point. I think Ring probably started it, but it's so common
there was something
now.
else before The Ring, but
yeah, or just,
like
you
The
know,
Ring
like long black hair and spookiness. The gist is that if you see this video, this girl is going to haunt you for 7 days. On the 7th day, she's going to kill you by climbing out of your ATV and doing whatever she does to kill you, her thing. So things get worse and worse for you through that whole week. And I don't really have a firm idea of how this would play, but I thought it'd be kind of interesting if there was like a little bit of a bluffing aspect where you were trying to stick someone else with the video if you are the one that started with it. Because if in the movie, if someone else watches it before your 7 days are up, then the haunting transfers to them and you're now safe. So I don't know exactly how this is
going. I choose my friend with that. I went and saw it in the movie first, and like, oh no. I think 5 days later, I took her to go see it, and like she was kind of creeped out, and like she was like, oh, like, you know, like has it been 7 days for you? I'm like, I think it was like right at the 7 days. I'm like, yeah, but I made a copy. I brought you to see it.
Really? Your poor friend. Yeah, so I don't know exactly how this works, other than, you know, it'd have to keep getting harder as people have been haunted for longer, and I'm not sure exactly how.
And the 7 days could also be like a countdown, like a round.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, it could be something like that. I just don't know, because would it have to start over every time someone got it again, and then I don't know. I haven't figured this all out, but it's something like that, where I guess there'd end up being just one loser, like whoever actually doesn't manage to shift that thing away from them in time.
Almost like hot potato.
Yeah, kind of like hot potato, but hopefully a little more interesting than that. But I would like to see that, a game based on The Ring. Somebody do it. I don't know if you got an idea. I mean, they have games now. They've on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a Halloween one. There's all kinds of stuff. Someone do The Ring. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea of a horror theme that you'd like to see, let me know in the comments about that as well. I'd love to hear that sort of thing, and especially if you know how you might want it to play, that would be great. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can know about the next time we put out a video. Otherwise, look forward to see you all around the table again at All Games New and Old.
Bye.
Hey, you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like it, share it, and click this button to subscribe. If you like that one, you might also like this one.
Or this one.
I cannot believe what I did in that one. Holy cow.
I can.
Of course you can. All right. Anyway, we'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.